Hey, John Link. So let's take a look at the ways that you might consider investing in your early working years, middle working years, later, and then in retirement, because they're different models, right? I mean, so when you're working and putting money in, you're accumulating, right? You're accumulating, and based on your risk tolerance, you should have a pretty good risk tolerance if you're 20, 30, 40 years old, putting money in because there's growth in the market, right? As you get closer to retirement, and absolutely when you retire, the model changes. The model changes. So let's take a look and see what that looks like in the on a graphic here of the S&P 500 for the last 40 years. So you can see in the late 90s it was going like crazy, right? And then 9/11 happened. These are year by year. 9/11 happened and the bottom fell out of the market, you know. Then we had a decent stretch for a while. Then we had the banking crisis of 2008, and we've had other issues happen. And this is 2022 over here, where we had a confluence of events that hadn't happened in 50 years. So you never really know when things are going to happen. Thus, what I'm saying is, when you're accumulating, does it make a difference? Well, I mean, these are buying opportunities, right? A lot of people get that confused. They say, "Oh, the market is doing terrible. I need to get out of that market right now." And if you're in your working years, that you may want to reconsider that, right? This might be where stocks are on sale because eventually they go back up. And in the 2008 banking crisis, it was a terrible, terrible year. So you might consider what we call dollar cost averaging, just putting money in, the same amount of money in on a regular basis, and you're going to accumulate over time. You're going to accumulate over time historically. Now, that's the accumulation phase. In the decumulation phase, when you're in retirement or nearing retirement, that model has to change, because if you're still investing like it's this model or this model, God forbid, or even 2022 is a horrible year. If you're still invested like that and you're taking money out or nearing time to take money out, that's a big old fat problem, right? Because if you try to take money out here and you're in the same model, the growth model, the accumulator model, when you're decumulating, it's like buying an ice cream cone on the installment plan, right? It just will not work. So you need to be cognizant of the fact that there are different models. And when you're ready to retire, in retirement, you need to have some consistent sources of income that are not market based. Maybe income dividends or dividends from a real estate, say, investment trust, or maybe even annuity, things like pension, things like that. Social Security, of course, falls in that program. So, but be conscious of the fact that you cannot continue to use the same model, the accumulation model in retirement that you did to accumulate your wealth. Okay, very important. Also, one thing before I close here, it's also important to keep, no matter what your age or what your situation, a little bit in growth, at least a little bit in growth, because you don't know how long you're going to live. There is over time going to be growth in the market historically anyway, right? So you'll want to be sure and you're experiencing some of that growth for the future. All right, a little bit of information about ways you might want to consider investing. Call me. Be glad to help at any time. Thanks.